Well, in simple terms, if you think you own a car in Gibraltar and you have to register it with the MOT centre and register it with the authorities there, it's actually the same for a ship or an aircraft. So anyone who owns an aircraft has to put their aircraft with a certain state, and that state is then responsible for the oversight of the maintenance and the operation of that aircraft.
And why would doing this be of any benefit to Gibraltar?
Well, like anything, it's an income stream for Gibraltar. Hopefully, what we can see is that people will come with their aircraft to us. That will mean that they will need lawyers to actually move from the state they're already registered in into our state, so there'll be some income for some lawyers in Gibraltar. They might need insurance for the aircraft, which again, the insurance companies in Gibraltar will hopefully be able to provide. And even if they're buying it on a mortgage, the banks might be providing a mortgage. So there's various income streams, and also for the authority, obviously we charge to do the oversight of the aircraft. So we charge an operations inspector to go and look at how the aircraft is being flown and how it's going to be operated and the rules that they're following. Same with maintenance, we charge for a maintenance inspector to go and look at the aircraft.
So essentially individuals, not necessarily in Gibraltar, could register their aircraft here, and why would they choose Gibraltar?
Well, I think what they're going to look for in Gibraltar and why they're going to come, we've got British law, which is a big selling point for us. Gibraltar's got a very good reputation, and also service. What we will be able to do is we'll be a small organisation with a limited number of aircraft, and we'll be able to respond quickly to clients' requests. At the present time, if you've got an aircraft in the UK and you want to get a pilot's licence amended or changed or even renewed, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. We'll be looking to do it certainly within 48 hours, 72 hours. So that's a big advantage for someone who's got their own private aircraft.
So, of course, the register is being made possible by two pieces of legislation that were passed in Parliament, the Civil Aviation Act and the Civil Aviation Authority Act. So could you explain what those two pieces of legislation do and why they've been looked at this point in time?
Yeah, obviously the 2009 Act, which is the Act that's being revoked, was drafted by non-specialist aviation drafters, and they did a very good job, and they cut and paste legislation effectively from the UK. What we've looked at is to actually bring the legislation up to date, and more importantly, to allow us to actually register aircraft, which wasn't permitted with the 2009 regulations. We split the Act into two parts, basically because at present, as a Director of Civil Aviation, I'm a department of government, and the International Civil Aviation Organisation recommends that a regulator should be slightly more independent than being a department of government. So we've set it up as an authority along the similar lines that Gibraltar Regulatory Authority exists, and that's one of the acts. It's how we've set that up, how the board sits to monitor what we're doing, to make sure we're not going to use the money we're bringing in inadvisedly. And the second part is just to update the Civil Aviation Act, which again allows now for aircraft to be registered. What the public will see in terms of what they see at the airport, they won't see any change. That part of the Act has stayed the same.
Well, as you mentioned, this will also allow for separating the sort of role of the regulator from the government, creating a Gibraltar Civil Aviation Authority. Could you explain the value of having that separation and that type of independence?
Yeah, the value I think is that while I still work to the Minister with responsible for civil aviation, who in this case is the Deputy Chief Minister, it will allow me a little bit more independence if I have to make a decision that perhaps the government isn't quite so happy with. So for instance, if I find something in the airport is not being done correctly, it makes it easier for me to say to the government, I as an independent person say that this isn't happening according to the regulations that we have to follow, and you government need to try and put that right. So I think that's the value of the independence, much the same as the Gibraltar Regulatory Authority do with all the areas that they regulate.